Welcome to the Nerdstalgic podcast with your host, the Ginger Bookworm. Nerdstalgic with the Ginger Bookworm. Nerdstalgic with the Ginger Bookworm.
Howdy beans, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Nerdstalgic podcast. I'm your host, Luke the Human. Hope you're doing well, hope you're good, as per usual. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at nerdstalgic_pod. And if you listen to this on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and all that jazz. It really helps me out immensely. So this episode, we're going to be talking about the Xbox Games Showcase as well as the Starfield preview that we had. Now, I'm pre-recording this as I pre-record the Summer Showcase with Jeff Keighley show. So again, I have no idea what was announced, so you're going to have to bear with me. But I wanted to take a look back at some of the games that were announced last year at the last Xbox Showcase, kind of give you a feel and a flavour as to basically what you can expect from Xbox this year. Again, I have no idea what will be announced this year. In hindsight, you beautiful, wonderful beings will. So you're going to have to bear with me. I can't tell the future, sadly. But, this is what was shown last year. So, we had the reveal of Redfall, which we all know how bad that turned out. But I'm not here to judge. Redfall was announced. You had Hollow Knight, Silksong. High on Life was announced. Riot Games and Xbox Game Pass partner up. A Plague Tale Requiem, which I reviewed and I love, and it's one of the best games I played last year. If you want to check out my review, it's on the channel and it's on Spotify now to go check it out. Really, really good episode, and I really loved that game so much. Forza Motorsport and Forza Horizon 5 DLC for Hot Wheels. We also had Overwatch 2, which again we know how bad that is doing. But again, not here to judge. Microsoft Flight Simulator. I think they added in it was the 40th year anniversary update and added in content from Halo. The Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76 DLC, Ark 2 Survival with Vin Diesel family, Scorn, Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, Minecraft Legends, which came out not long ago, and actually it's doing quite well. People seem to be enjoying it. I haven't played it yet, but it's not really my thing, but it seems to have a bit of an audience at the moment. Lightyear Frontier, Gunfire Reborn, which I hate that game, mainly because it ruined my gamer score for a long time. The Last Case of Benedict Fox, which I've played. It's really, really good. It's a lot of fun. As Dusk Falls, Nakata, Blade Point, Pentiment, which I played. It's incredible. I highly recommend to play that game. I was going to review it, but that game, it's not a game you can review easily. So I decided just to enjoy it for what it was and not bother with the review because I had no idea where to start with that game because there's so many different the way you play that game is so different for everybody that it's going to be hard how my review would be different to somebody else's review because you chose different things, so your choices predict how you'll get. It's a very big choice-based game. It's fantastic. Highly recommend it. Grounded, I think that came out actually out of proper release. I think Grounded came out. Urban Shadow Legacy, Diablo 4, which has come out and got a lot of high praise at the moment. Sea of Thieves Season 7. Ravenlock, which I've played, which is a lot of fun. Cocoon, Wolong Fallen Dynasty, Persona 3, 4, and 5, all coming to Xbox and PC. Hideo Kojima came out saying that he's working with Xbox on a project. Starfield. And that's about it for what was shown at the sort of Xbox event. But that gives you an idea of what Xbox tends to show. And Xbox tends to have a lot of sort of games they show off, like either going to be day one on Game Pass or going to be either coming to sort of Xbox first or that sort of thing, as PlayStation do as well. But I'm looking forward to Xbox. I'm going to try my best to be sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Non-biased. Yes, I am an Xbox fan, and I'll be honest, I do have an Xbox and I do play Xbox all the time. You could say that I am an Xbox fanboy, but I'm going to try my best to, as a reviewer, as a professional reviewer, to be non-biased and to not be sort of a fanboy and kind of take whatever they announce and just sort of enjoy it for what it is, and I mean, not sort of be like, oh, Xbox is the best, because I don't like that. I don't like that sort of side of gaming as it is, so I don't want to be a part of it. So I'm going to try my best to be as non-biased as possible. But if they do announce, like Fable, if they announce Gears of War 6 and a potential sort of Gears of War remastered collection for Gears of War 2 and Gears of War 3, and maybe even Judgment, or they announce a new Halo game, or they show us more of Forza Motorsport, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to geek out. So I have my predictions. Like I said, to be honest, all I really want from Xbox, like Starfield, I'm looking forward to that. Don't get me wrong, I am looking forward to Starfield. But all I really want from Xbox is Fable. That's all I want. I've played Fable on the original Xbox. I played Fable 2 and 3 on the Xbox 360. I still play Fable 3. I recently replayed it last year. So I just want Fable. That's all I want. I want to see what Playground Games have done with Albion and done with Fable. That's what I'm looking forward to from there. So the rest of the game showcase can be absolutely pants. But if they show us Fable, it will be the best showcase ever for me. So that's my fingers crossed. I really hope we see something to do with Fable. Maybe some more Perfect Dark. Maybe we'll see what Double Fine is working on. Maybe a Brutal Legend 2. Maybe they're making a brand new game. Maybe it'll be DLC for Psychonauts 2. I don't know. There's a lot to look forward to. Xbox have got a lot of studios. It'd be nice to see what they add if they bring any more stuff to Game Pass day one, because they tend to do that. They tend to drop like brand new games onto Game Pass day one. See if they do anything like that. See if they, if they announce any Activision games, being like, we're going to bring some Activision games to Game Pass today or soon. I don't know, things like that. Like, there are things to look forward to. So that's what my hopes are for that. As for the Starfield showcase, which will be like a separate thing, which I might end up doing a separate episode for that. Depends on how long this one ends up being. But I hope for Starfield. I just hope it's good. I have a lot of faith in sort of Bethesda games productions themselves, the stuff they make themselves. I love Fallout, obviously. I love Elder Scrolls. I'm really enjoying Fallout 76. Now, give it a proper go last year. I'm actually enjoying it a lot. So I look forward to seeing what they do next. They've redone the creation engine that they've been using for donkey's years. So the game looks a bit more crisper from the last sort of gameplay we've seen. They're really doing heavy marketing on it and again, as Redfall recently failed, they need a win from Bethesda. Bethesda needs a win, and Xbox needs a win. So I don't believe that they're going to allow this game to fail, but they might do. Again, it depends. We will see. But I have a lot of hope and I have a lot of faith in Xbox that this showcase will blow not just fans away, but will sort of blow the top off sort of the sort of gaming industry as a whole. Because again, I'll try not to be biased. I did watch the PlayStation Showcase event, and it didn't feel like PlayStation were coming out all guns blazing. That's what it felt like to me. As not just as I'm taking it away as being an Xbox fan, just as a gamer, as a gamer and as a reviewer, they didn't come out guns blazing, and I feel like this leaves Xbox open to come out guns blazing and be like, look, this is what we have, this is what we can show, and just to kind of just be like, look, this is what you've been waiting for as an audience. Xbox is now come to the format. We're going to blow your socks off and be like, wow, this is, So I'm really looking forward to that. But I'm going to stop talking. I've already done my predictions. I've said some of the things that were shown last year. So, in the power of time travel and podcasting, I'm now going to peek into the future and have a look to see what Xbox showed. Fingers crossed, it's all good, but we will see in a minute. All right, let's get into it, shall we, Beans? Right, so here we are. The Xbox showcase is not long finished. Honestly, right, I don't know how to say this right. Whenever I do review, no matter what it is, I always try to be 100% honest, and I like to look at things not just from my point of view as a fan or a lover or somebody who's interested, but also as a side of a reviewer. So I always try to be open and honest as possible. That's something that I always try to do. That's my main goal with anything that I do on this show. So I have to be honest. I do. The Xbox fanboy in me is excited, is happy, is not fully 100% sort of over the moon extravaganza like wow. But the Xbox fanboy in me is happy. I got to see some things that I wanted to see, right? So the Xbox side of me, yes. But the person you're going to hear from now, going forwards, and well, the person you're going to hear from mostly going forward, should I say, is the gamer side of me, is the reviewer side of me, is the honest sort of non-fanboyish side. Like he will come now and then with certain sort of games that were shown, but overall you're going to be hearing the honest side of me. And the reason being, the reason I had to start this episode like this is because I'm incredibly conflicted with this showcase. Now, I will say that it's probably a little bit better than the Summer Games Fest by Jeff Keighley that we had on the 8th of June. It's a bit better, but not overly better. There was a lot more there that I liked and I found interesting from the PlayStation 1. And there were things here that I found sort of fascinating and things that I was really, I'm looking forward to and I can't wait and all that jazz. But again, I'm very conflicted because, again, I've said this many times and I'm my own worst enemy because I always tell you beans this and I've done it myself, is the fact of hype kills everything. You get hyped up and you get sort of predictions and you get sort of like, I want this to be here. I want to see this. I want to see that. I want it to be this. I want it to be that. And then when you actually get around to it and you realize that this and that isn't there or isn't spoke about at all, you get a bit sort of disheartened. And I'm going to try my best to give you my true, honest first impressions. Now, granted, this happens every time whenever I do review. There are times when I might say something about a review, then I'll re-listen to it once it's been published, and you guys have had a chance to listen to it, and my opinions might change, or I might agree or disagree with myself. But for now, this is my sort of 100% opinion of this Xbox showcase. Is the fact of, if you take out the Bethesda side of it, if you take out the Starfield part of it, which I will talk about in its own segment near to the end. As for what Xbox have shown for themselves, being first party, things coming to Game Pass, and then some, I wasn't overly impressed. Mainly because, and I understand why, because they spent so much time on the Starfield Direct sort of breakdown, it took time away from other things they possibly could have shown. For example, we don't see, like, even Bethesda, I'll get into that in a minute, but like Xbox things, like we didn't get to see anything from Gears of War. I was really hoping that we'd see some hint or even a cinematic sort of trailer for Gears 6, or potentially that we would see them doing a remaster of Gears 2, 3 and put like a Gears collection, or seeing a bit of the Contraband game that was announced last year or the year before, or we'll see more of the Indiana Jones game, Wolfenstein, or even what Double Fine are doing, or all the other studios that Xbox owns. I thought we were going to see a little bit from everybody, or because they've got like 24 studios now, potentially more after they buy Activision Blizzard. They have all these studios. As I said in the introduction, my hope was the fact of, because they have been pushing it back because of COVID and because of pushback, they've pushed back all these games, and my hope was that 2023 was going to be the year where Xbox comes out all guns blazing and goes, look at my wares. This is what I have. This is what we've been sort of saving. Bam, bam. You know what I mean? And I feel like because of again, it's not Starfield's fault, but because they put so much time into doing the Starfield Direct, it felt like it could have took things away from something else. Now, there's potentiality that certain things weren't ready, or there wasn't anything to show, and this was the only things they had to show. That's a potentiality. And again, they could do another sort of Xbox Forward event like they did back in sort of January, February. That could potentially happen. But again, I was hoping for day one, sort of right today. Like today, you can now play the brand new game X, Y, and Z, or this is new games have been brought back to backwards compatibility, or this has been brought back, or you can play this now, or you can play it soon. Or again, Exo Primal. Thought we would have saw a bit more of that, but again, we didn't. So that's what's kind of got me very conflicted, if I'm being honest. Very much on the edge of, like, I enjoyed it, and the fanboy side of me of what I got some of the things that I wanted, but I wasn't overly sort of impressed. And I'm going to go through the games now, and you might be able to see as to why I felt this way when I get into it. So without further ado, let's get into it. So excitedly side of me, they started off with a bang, and this is again got me hyped. And when it started, I was in the mood, I was ready, I was like, this is it. Xbox comes out all guns blazing. They're doing it right. So the first game they showed was Fable. You got to see in-game cinematic sort of. Is it cinematic or gameplay, that sort of thing. Richard Iwadi from IT Crowd. I love this bloke. He's so dry but so funny at the same time. He plays a giant, and it's so British and it's so fably. It was just nice to see. It looks fantastic. I was watching it in 4K. It looks beautiful. It just feels like Albion. It feels like a modern sort of like take on Fable, but at the same stage, it looks very Playground. It looks very much of their sort of style. Even though they've done many racing games, it feels like their sort of game. The character models look like the character models that you see inside Forza Horizon. Um, you know, there were times where it felt like The Witcher as well. So it had that modern RPG sort of vibe, and I'm just excited and happy to have seen something for Fable. I don't think we will get this game this year. Most likely it will come next year. But there's also potentiality now that we've seen it and we've seen sort of the cinematic that hopefully maybe near to the end, maybe at Gamescom. Because again, there is Gamescom to come, so maybe we'll see a lot more from the Xbox there. But there's potentiality we'll see some Fable stuff there, and even at the Game Awards, maybe then. So close near to the end of the year, possibly we'll see more of Fable there. But it's just nice to know that this game is still in development, still going, and it looks fantastic. So again, fantastic footing. They started off great. Then we got Compulsion's new game, South by Midnight. This was more of an announcement, sort of in-game sort of trailer. We didn't get to see any sense of gameplay. It looks very sort of in the Bayou, Louisiana, sort of witch hunter sort of. Maybe it's a witch hunter sort of thing. It's not really sure what this is from. I think the last game from Compulsion was We Happy Few, so we haven't seen Compulsion in a very very long time. So this is what they've been working all that time. Again, the concept and idea looks interesting. All I could think of when I was watching it, if you watch Princess and the Frog, the Disney one, all I could hear in my head was rolling down the bayou, with a bit of hint of like you ever played Red Dead Redemption 2 and you go down to the marshy area. It was kind of a mix between Disney rolling down the bayou and I got friends on the other side, that sort of thing, as well as mixed in with Red Dead Redemption 2 going into marshes. It looks interesting, it does, and I enjoyed We Happy Few for the concept and idea. Gameplay, not so much, but I like the story, so I feel like they know what they're doing in terms of story. I've played the other games by Compulsion as well, so they know what they're doing, so I'm sure this will be a good mix of between gameplay and story. So we'll see. There's not really much. Again, Gamescom's coming up. We might see more there. Massive Entertainment then came out. They've got a new Star Wars game. We found that it was Star Wars Outlaws. We've got an announcement for that. It's coming in 2024. More at the Ubisoft Forward event. Honestly, and like I don't think this is actually the first. I think there's actually might be others. No, this was the only one from the Ubisoft event. I think so. Yeah, maybe. We'll get if there is. I wrote it down, so we'll get to it. But as it said more at the Ubisoft event, I just sat there and went, "What else has Ubisoft got to show?" Like most of the Ubisoft stuff was shown at Jeff Keighley's Summer Games Fest one, right? So you got that one. So they had stuff shown there. There was stuff shown here. Biggest one, Star Wars, which again, don't get me wrong, it looked incredible, but it still felt like Jedi Survival. Like I didn't see much that made me feel like it wasn't sort of a Jedi Survival, Last Jedi sort of game. So hopefully when we see more gameplay at the Ubisoft event, it will have its own sort of feel and style, and more of like a Star Wars Ubisoft sort of vein. So we see more then. But for what I did see, it looked interesting. But it just feels like a lot of the heavy hitters, apart from Assassin's Creed, are being shown elsewhere. That it makes me wonder, what else has Ubisoft got to show? Like, is it the fact of Ubisoft are happy to show other things elsewhere? Because it's the fact of, it's like, yeah, we can throw a little bit of nuggets here and there because we've got something big to show off here. Or is it just the fact of we spent most of our time talking about Assassin's Creed, so we need to advertise these things elsewhere to get people hyped, so we can talk about them a little bit here and there, as well as a few extra things, and then we can talk about Assassin's Creed for an hour. I don't know, but it just feels like we're seeing more from Ubisoft, which is great, but not by Ubisoft. It seems a bit strange. But again, we'll find out more about what this Star Wars game is. If it looks like a bit of a smuggler sort of game, like a thief, you play as a thief, an outlaw. Not really much to go on. Again, it feels, from what you can see in the gameplay, that it looks like Jedi Survivor. That's not a bad thing. But again, I want it to feel like Star Wars, but to be its own sort of game. To be in the Star Wars universe, but to feel unique in what it is and what it does. Like, granted, we didn't get to play it, but Star Wars 1313 looks different, and I'm sure would have played different compared to what you ever get in Jedi Survivor. That sort of idea for what I'm trying to get at is the fact of Star Wars universe, but look and feel different, but still be Star Wars. So fingers crossed for the Ubisoft event that we can get that, and we can get more of that coming. Then we got a new game by Thunder Lotus called 33 Immortals coming in 2024. Not really much to say about this one. It's a top-down sort of hack and slash sort of game. I'm not really into those sort of games, but again, it looks interesting. Then we got an announcement of Payday 3 and some gameplay. That's coming in September 31st this year. Again, not really much to say about Payday. I've played Payday 2 a little bit, I think, when it was on Game Pass. Not really my cup of tea. Again, it's a co-op sort of game, and I'm just going to sort of like sit here and twiddle the world's smallest violin as you guys feel sorry for me. But as I've announced, I've got no one to play with, so these sort of games don't really take my fancy. And I think even if I did have people to play with, it doesn't feel like my type of game that I'd really get into. More just the fact of I'd play it probably 2-3 times with a couple of friends. It'd be fun, be a laugh, and then I feel like I'd play. I've done everything. I've seen everything. I've done one heist. You've done them all. You know what I mean? And so it didn't interest me. But again, it's nice to see that they're making a Payday 3, and that's a lot of people play it. So again, if you're interested in Payday 3, that's something that's coming September 31st this year. Then we had Persona 3 Reloaded. This game was leaked, I think, last week or the week before, so it's not really a big surprise for a lot of people. Again, I'm not a Persona fan. I'm not really big into anime. I've tried to get into anime, but it's not really, again, my cup of tea, but I have tried. Persona 3, I've been told it's amazing. It's a fantastic sort of narrative-driven sort of story. You got a bit more Persona 3 Reloaded, the announcement and a bit of gameplay. But again, not much to say because I don't really know anything about it. But that was announced, and then we finally got to see Obsidian's new RPG, Avowed. Got to see some gameplay as well as coming in next year in 2024. It looks again. It looks like an Obsidian game. It looks wonderful. It looks like there's a lot of mystery to it, a lot of magic. It looks like if there were times, I won't lie, where it felt like Outer Wilds meets fantasy, which is not a bad thing. Outer Wilds is a fantastic game. I played that to death. I played it all and all the DLC. If you haven't played the DLC to that game, please do. The DLC is incredible. But it feels like Outer Wilds, but with a high budget, with more money put into it, more money behind it. This is following their Pillars of Eternity universe, which again, I really need to get into Pillars of Eternity because this game looks incredible. I have until 2024 next year to really get into that lore. So I'm going to have to go through and play Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2 just so I'm ready for the lore of this world. Maybe it's set like I don't know. I don't know yet, but maybe there's different timelines, different settings. Maybe so. There's a chance that I played the first 2 games, and that this timeline is set in the past of this world or set in the far future. I don't know. So maybe I'm setting myself up for failure, but I'm going to have to get around to playing Pillars of Eternity, so I have some luck going into it, knowing what's going on. But yeah, that's Avowed gameplay. It looks incredible. Coming 2024. Then this one really it made me laugh because I am an old school, like I guess I'm 25, but I'm an old school gamer, right? And then to see Rare, I was like, oh, Banjo-Kazooie, fingers crossed. And it was like, nah, Sea of Thieves. Okay, new expansion for Sea of Thieves. It's their flagship at the moment. It's what's getting their revenue, and it's their most popular game, so it makes sense. Then it went Rare. Then it went Lucasfilm. I was like, okay. And then it came up Sea of Thieves, The Legend of Monkey Island, and you got to see a bit of gameplay. Which again, old school gamer. I have Monkey Island. I played it on my first sort of. Even though I call myself an old school gamer, I played the remastered Monkey Island 1 and 2 on the Xbox 360. I loved them. I haven't played them in a while, but I love that series a lot. It's so much fun. I haven't played the newest Return to Monkey Island game. I know it's on Game Pass. I haven't got round to it. It is on my list. I have got it downloaded, but my backlog is huge. Um, but I don't. I feel like it's time to get into Sea of Thieves for me, anyway. I said that if I'm being honest when Pirates of the Caribbean came into it, and I was like, I like Pirates of the Caribbean. I never got around to it, but I am a Monkey Island fan. Um, and by the sounds of it, all the characters are coming back, as well as all of the voice work, the voice actors for those characters are coming back now in like a 3D world instead of a 2D. I've got to figure out, what's going on in Monkey Island. I have to. I have to go play it. But first, I'm going to play Return to Monkey Island, and then I'll get around to Sea of Thieves. But Sea of Thieves is the same thing about like Payday and other games that I've mentioned that are co-op. Is the fact of Sea of Thieves, yeah, you can play it on your own, but unless you're kind of rolling with a crew, like again a pirate crew, it never really sort of took me in. Um, so Pacific is one of those games I always wanted to play. Never had anyone to play it with, but I'm glad they're still supporting it. I'm glad they're still rolling out expansions for it, random weird expansions, but I'm glad they're doing it. So now I've got to go back and play it, and I've got to play through the Pirates of the Caribbean one, and I've got to play through Monkey Island. Like they finally did it rare. You did it. It wasn't Banjo Kazooie, but you pulled me in. You pulled me in from Monkey Island, and I respect you for it. Fair play. And that is free to play uh, for all on June the 20th. I mean July the 20th. So if you're a Sea of Thieves fan and you've got Game Pass and you're a fan of Monkey Island, you can play the expansion for free on July the 20th. So that's pretty good. That's not so bad. Next there was Flight Simulator 2024. So they've announced a brand new Flight Simulator game, which I'm surprised really because I thought that the last Flight Simulator that came out, I thought that that was going to be sort of it really. They were going to just keep updating it and do sort of new map updates and do engine updates and just kind of just update it and update it, update it. But no, they're doing a brand new Flight Simulator 2024, so obviously that'll be next year, as well as a Dune crossover which comes on November the 3rd, 2023. That's to be in line with Dune Part 2, which when I saw it, I was like, Dune, I like this. I like this because again I'm a big Doom fan. I'm currently reading through the books. I not long finished The Children of Doom, and I've got the God Emperor of Doom, which is the next one. And they're weird. Dune's a weird series. It's so high science fiction. It's incredible. If you're into science fiction and you fancy a weird trip through politics and sort of drugs and high concepts and space and weird cults. Like there's a lot that comes into the Dune universe and giant sandworms and sand. It's very coarse. It gets everywhere. You know. um, I recommend checking out the Dune series, or you just get around to watching the movies. Just embrace yourself in the spice with the spice melange. Just get Arrakis, get it in you, because Dune is an incredible series. So this crossover with Flight Simulator is quite clever, quite ingenious to be honest. Next they showed was Senua's Saga's Hellblade 2. They showed you some in-game footage that's coming in 2024. I'll be honest with you all, I haven't played, well, tell a lie, I have played Senua's Saga 1. I played the introduction and then I never went back. I don't remember why. I remember getting to the part where the game tells you that if you take too much damage, that Senua will die. Um, and then I just was like, okay, I just stopped playing, and that was years ago. So I'm gonna have to, because this game looks really, really good and looks absolutely gorgeous, to be honest. So I'm gonna have to go back and play Senua's Saga Hellblade 1. I've been told it's a game that you want to be playing headphones with, so I'll go through it with headphones. Because this new one looks really, really good. So they showed us new gameplay. And even while listening to the gameplay, I just felt like I was doing this gameplay disservice by not wearing headphones. Because, like, from one thing that I do know about the first games, from what all my friends have told me, the game is very much about mental illness. And it's about sort of Senua's mental illness and her struggles, and she hears voices, and there's a lot of sort of ASMR, and there's a lot of sounds here, there, and everywhere from different parts of her brain, and she hears it from different areas, and it's one of them games to really embrace yourself, not just into what you're seeing, but also to what's going on inside her brain. You have to kind of play it with headphones on. And now I've got my brand new headphones. I think I finally found a game that can really sort of benefit from these bad boys that I'm using now. So that'll be a fun one to go back and play it. But the new one looks really, really good. So we won't be seeing that till next year. So I've got a few more refinements to do. So yeah, that's another one to 2024. Then you got Yakuza Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. I never played Yakuza. To be honest, I haven't really played any of the Yakuza games. I know they're all on Game Pass. I've never really played them. I've been told they're really, really crazy and wacky and insane and hilarious. But I've never got around to them. I know they're on Game Pass, so I have no excuse. But maybe one day, because there's so many to them. And then you've got the new Like a Dragon series. So, I don't know. No guarantees. Maybe one day I'll get around to playing Yakuza, but it looks silly. You know, there's a guy and he was naked on the beach, and he doesn't realize he's naked, and everybody's just staring at him, and then you keep almost seeing his gentleman sausage, but just before you see it, they put something in the way. So they are being very cheeky. So again, in a way, from what I've been told, that kind of is par for the course of Yakuza series. So yeah. Then we got a Fallout 76 sort of trailer, and it was the announcement, kind of in a way of saying thank you to all the players that have stuck with Fallout 76 for this long. And it kind of, as a treat, they kind of said, get ready for the new expansion, sort of new break for Atlantic City expansion. I'm guessing that, I think, I didn't write it down, but I'm sure that's going to be, it said coming soon. So we'll hear more of that about that well, soon. I love Fallout 76. I did a whole episode on my trials through Appalachia. You can find it on my YouTube. You can find it on my Spotify. Please do go back and check it out. I still play 76 now. I still enjoy it, which again, I never thought I'd ever hear those words come out of my mouth, but generally I'm still enjoying 76. I don't know how much I'll be playing it when Starfield comes out, but I still play 76. I haven't played the pit expansion yet because I'm still making my way through sort of the main sort of story quest of 76. So once I've completed that, then I'll get around to doing the pit expansion. But yeah, I recommend it. You know, if you haven't played 76 yet and you got Game Pass, please do pick it up now. It is a lot of fun. Through the updates, they've fixed a lot of things. They've added a lot of things. It's a lot of fun. And it's all round Fallout, really. You know, I haven't had any issues with it. I haven't had no issues from when the game came out, and it came out in a wreck, really. I haven't had any issues, no game breaking bugs. I had a few graphical issues, but again, that's just in every Fallout sort of Bethesda game. There's them there all the time, really. So apart from that, I haven't had any issues with it. I enjoy it. I say give it a go. And they've got this new expansion from Atlantic City. So yeah, you know, it's worth it if you've got the time. The game's coming, the expansion's coming soon, and you've got the pit expansion as well. So you've got a lot to enjoy, and there's a lot in there now. So yeah, play Fallout 76, and if you want someone to play with, I play it. So that's one person to roam the waste with. Then we got a look at, oh god, Kunitsu Gami Path of the Goddess. That was announced. No date on that one, but that game was announced. Then we got Forza Motorsport in-game footage, and that game's coming out on the 10th of October, 2023. I love my racing games. I really, really do. I'm currently playing through Dirt 3. I love doing rallying. I love doing sort of motorsport. I love doing sort of arcadey sort of racing, which you get in sort of Forza Horizon, where you can just get a car, any car, kit it out, the engine and all that, and then just go crazy and ramble and go off cliffs and do all kind of random stuff, as well as doing racing. I love all that kind of stuff. I love kart racing. I love anything to do with cars and racing. One of my favourite shows is Top Gear. One of my comfort shows is Top Gear. Whenever I feel ill, I will sit and watch Top Gear. Bar none, always, right? I'm a big fan of racing and motorsport. Funny enough, I'm a fan of video games, but I don't watch it, which I know is very weird. I don't watch any racing at all, but I love racing games. I know I'm weird. I'm strange. Leave me alone. But I've been waiting for this game for ages. I had hoped this game was going to come out last year or early this year, but I understand why they kept pushing it back, and I'm glad they have because the game looks incredible. Which is fine because like I said, I've been playing. I bought Dirt 3 recently because that's backwards compatible on the Xbox One. That's a 360 game, so I've been playing through Dirt 3, doing some rallying and doing some rallycross. I bought Grid 2 because that's backwards compatible, so I've been playing through Grid 2. That's got that's some track racing mixed in with sort of city racing as well. I'm looking also to get into Grid Autosport. So there's a lot of games, that I can sort of bide my time with in terms of racing and kind of really scratch that itch until October. But I can't wait. I've been waiting for this for a long time, and these sort of games, racing games, especially like the motorsport ones, these are the games I get lost in because, like, I love doing the endurance racing. I love sort of trying to get the apex and trying to get the best times, especially if other friends of mine have played them and they've got a better time than me. I have to go back and beat their time. So this would be a game where you might lose me for a bit when this game comes out. So be ready, be warned for that. But I'm really excited for Forza Motorsport. We finally got a release date, October 10th, for this year. So I am happy and over the moon for that one. Then we got an update for Elder Scrolls Online, Journey to Necrom. That comes out on June the 20th. Then we got a sort of announcement update. I think it was an update. They didn't call it an update, but it looked like an update for Overwatch 2. So Overwatch 2 Invasion announcement. That update is coming in August the 10th. There's going to be new, from the looks, from what I remember and what I wrote down, there's going to be a new story mode coming, some co-op, some changes, new maps, basically everything you want from an update. I'll be honest with you, I didn't play Overwatch 1. It interested me, but I played it a bit at friends' houses, but again, I never owned it myself. And then Overwatch 2 came out, it became free to play, caught my interest with free to play. And then I'd listened to sort of the Act Man, Angry Joe, and loads of other YouTubers that had played it and who had covered it, and they basically said how they just did like kind of what Bungie did with Destiny 2, where they made a sequel for no reason because of money. That they basically took all the features from the first game and then said that we're going to be in the second game, but they weren't. So yeah, like the only reason I was really interested in Overwatch 2 was because they said you're going to have a story mode, and sort of from the story and the characters were the ones that fascinated me the most about Overwatch 1, and I wanted to know more about this world. So hearing that they're going to have a story mode in Overwatch 2 kind of got me excited. That is, it didn't come out with launch, and it's not coming out to August the 10th, as well as, again, all the other things I've heard from other people that play it, how they've Blizzard has treated their fan base, as well as what they've took out and added and all that jazz of Overwatch 2. I'm not going to get into it, but there's a lot. So I might play it in terms of, story. But again, no guarantees really. But yeah, there's no update for Overwatch 2 coming. So if you're a fan of that, there's that. Then you had a Persona 5 Tactica announcement. Again, I'm not really much of a Persona fan, but that's coming. That's coming soon. It didn't give us a date. It just said coming soon. Then there was the Starfield in-game footage story trailer, and then we got a release date of September the 6th, 2023. I'll get more into Starfield at the Starfield Direct, but from the story trailer, it looks fascinating. It does everything that you want in a trailer. It pulls you in. It gets you interested. It says very much the fact of, this is who you are. This is what's happening. These are the sort of events. You've got a start, middle, and end. Without giving too much away, the universe is yours to explore. And obviously, when we get around to doing the Starfield Direct, I'll sort of give my thoughts and feelings there. But as a trailer, as in-game footage, and for the story, I'm interested. You've got me hooked. I was interested ages ago because it's a Bethesda game, and I love Fallout and I love Elder Scrolls. So this is a brand new. After 25 years, this is a brand new IP for them. And it's in space, and I love science fiction, and I love anything to do with space. So you already had me there. So this story trailer did nothing more than just hook me more, like to reel me further and closer in than I already was. So it did its job, fantastic. And look, we got a release date September the 6th this year. So again, lots to look forward to in September. Then we had a new game from Dontnod, and it was called Jusant, with some in-game footage. That game looked interesting. Not really much to say about it. For most of the gameplay that we saw, the main character was climbing up a steep hill, and it looked like there were ruins, and and not really much in terms of you couldn't tell much of story, but for visually it looked like you was climbing up these mountains, and on these mountains are old settlements. Now, are they old settlements for the character, or this character is an explorer and they're like an alien planet or something like that? Don't know yet, but it looks interesting. Stay Awake, the Deep announcement. That's not coming until 2024. That looks very much in the vein of a Cthulhu sort of H.P. Lovecraft sort of thing. We didn't see any monsters, but it looks creepy. It was just a short trailer, a short gameplay, but it looks spooky. And you look like you was on an oil rig on your own. Something's happening. A lot of fog, a lot of horrible weather. You're out to sea, and it looks like something is chasing you, or something like that. So I was having very sort of high H.P. Lovecraft sort of Cthulhu vibes off this game. Sadly, it's not coming till next year, but it is what it is. Then we have Dungeons of Hindenburg. That's coming in 2024. Not much to say about it. Then, oh, sorry, for some reason I put Persona 5 Tactica twice, but the second time I put it, I actually got the date. So, sorry, going back. Persona 5 Tactica, that's coming in the 17th of November 2023. I don't know why I put it twice. I must have got confused while I was doing my notes. Anyway, so after the Dungeons of Hindenburg, there was the Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. You had a new trailer as well as new in-game footage. That's coming on the 29th of September 2023. We got Keanu Reeves came out being very Keanu Reeves, very sort of weird and wonderful. He came out explaining it's how that he was excited to be back as Johnny Silverhand, and he's excited on this new adventure you get to go on with V. I love Cyberpunk. I did. I think I've told the story, but the long and short of it is that I got it day one, and I played it a bit. Noticed that the game was basically broken, so I shelved it. I got as far. I played the introduction, and then I stopped playing. And then I left it in for a couple of updates, and then finally, when sort of their last, well, not the last one, but when one of their big updates came out that fixed a lot of the issues, I then sat and I played it through it, and I've all the sort of issues and all the crashes were gone, and I enjoyed myself. I immersed myself in this world and its characters. I did everything that you could, all the sort of extra missions as well as the main missions. I even saved it at one point so that I could experience all the different endings. I won't spoil the endings if you haven't played it, but there's some fascinating endings. I know which ending I liked, which again I won't go into details of that because again spoilers. But all of it, it's a fantastic story, and it's really, really interesting. Whatever which way you decide to go with V and decide to go with Johnny, the narrative is incredible and the world is incredible. And I feel like because it had a bad launch, it kind of gave it a bad name. But I'm glad they're sticking with it, and I'm glad they're doing expansion. This expansion looks incredible. It brings in Idris Elba. It brings in a new side of the city that we haven't seen before. I think they called it Dogtown, and this expansion, what makes it so special, and what makes it so special for you guys listening as well, is the fact of the main base game was built originally for some unknown reason, was built for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC and all these things. I think at one stage they wanted to do it for was it Switch or something? I don't know. I remember they said they wanted to do it for something else, but they just had to cancel it because they knew they couldn't do it because of the power. But Phantom Liberty is being purposely made for next gen, for your PC, for your Xbox Series X and S, for your PlayStation 5. So from the ground up, it's built for next gen. So hopefully, we're going to get that next gen sort of feeling. We're going to get that extra detail. We're going to get that ray trace and that beauty, that quality, that je ne sais quoi. Everything that you want and expect from next gen, we're going to get and we're going to see. Fingers crossed, obviously, for that. Maybe there might be some bugs when it comes out, and there might be sort of this new update will bring in new bugs. Maybe we'll see. But I feel like CD Projekt Red needs this expansion to work in order to have legs in terms of Cyberpunk 2. I know there's a team already working on it, and they probably will already do Cyberpunk 2 anyway. But I feel like if Phantom Liberty works and it's an expansion that is just as incredible as like Blood and Wine and Hearts and the other expansion for Witcher 3, which both expansions are incredible. But if the stories are just as good as then, if not better, and if longer, and gives you more, because I've already seen that it leaked to how much it's worth. I think it's £35. I think I saw it leaked for. So that's a lot of money. That's basically how much you'd pay for sort of not a triple A, but sort of like a double A sort of game. So let's hope that for the price, you get what you ask for. You're getting more. So, fingers crossed. But it's got Idris Elba, it's got Keanu Reeves, and it's Cyberpunk, and I'm looking forward to it. Um, I'll probably wait, if I'm being honest, for the reviews to come out first before I jump in and pay £35 for something that's broken. So I'll wait for the reviews. Then when the reviews come out from the reviewers that I trust and I like, then if they say it's worth it, then I might jump into it. If not, I'll still be interested in the story, so I'll probably watch somebody do a walkthrough gameplay. But we'll see. We will see what they decide to do with that one. Then they showed us City Skylines 2, and they showed us a trailer for that. That's coming October 24. I don't know if that's October 24th or October 2024. They didn't specify. So October 24. So take that as you do. Then you had Metaphor Fanazoni. That's coming in 2024. Then we had Towerborn. That was an announcement trailer. That's coming in 2024 as well. But yeah, a lot of 2024, and I'll get into that rant in a minute. In Exile's new game, Clockwork Revolution. To be honest, next to Fable, this is one of the best things I've seen. This is Project Cobalt, right? This is the game that they've been working on for ages, for years, right? And it reminded me, funnily enough, of Bioshock Infinite, from that style, that steampunky sort of 1920s, 1910s sort of world, mixed in with, funnily enough, and again, some people won't remember this game, some people will, but near the end of the sort of 2010, near the beginning of the 2010s, a game by Raven Software came out called Singularity. And the whole idea was change the future, change the past, save the future. And the idea was that it was you use the TMD, the time manipulation device, and that you could go back in time, and it was set on like a Soviet sort of era island, where they found this new sort of element called E99, Ankatorka 12. It's all coming back to me now. It's the whole flooding back. And basically the idea behind it is that you'd go into the past by using singularities and time rifts, and that anything that you change in the past would change the future. So whenever you go back to the future, things would be different. The buildings would look different, statues would look different, weapons would look different, and all that kind of thing. It was a fantastic idea and concept. It's a fantastic first-person shooter. Maybe one day I'll look into it and review it. I haven't played that game in years. But sadly, it's not backwards compatible. I'm hoping when the sort of Activision Blizzard deal goes through, it becomes backwards compatible, because it's a game that more people should experience, and it was ripe for a sequel, but sadly never did. It was the last game that Raven made themselves before they got regulated to basically doing Call of Duty. But it made me laugh because it has this, from the trailer, from the gameplay, it looked like it had the time travel part, and even said in it, like, you change the past, you change the future. And you got to see how the future changed, how the future looked, and they even had that catchphrase where it was like, change the past, and I was thinking, is it going to say save the future? And it changed. I think it was to something else, rescue the future or something like that. But even so, it's very much of in the vein of futuristic, steampunky sort of world. So the Clockwork Revolution looks incredible. It's like a first-person shooter from In Exile. I remember saying that I would have liked In Exile to do like a Fallout, sort of like what they did with Wastelands, but the original Fallout was like a top-down sort of game, or like a top-down RTS. I was kind of hoping that they would do that again, that now that Xbox owns Bethesda, that they could take the Fallout license and give it to In Exile and be like, do you want to make a Fallout game in the style of the first two Fallout games? And that would be interesting. But this Clockwork Revolution looks incredible, so I'm really excited for that. And finally, to round off, they didn't give us no release date for that game. Most likely next year, because it looks pretty good. So it looks quite close to finishing. So I would imagine possibly sometime next year. And then finally, to round it off for the Xbox, we got Xbox Series S, a 1 terabyte in black console. There's a lot of people were moaning that the Xbox Series X doesn't have sort of the storage that the Xbox Series X has. So they brought a new one in black. That's a 1 terabyte hard drive. So yeah, if that's something that interests you, go for it. I already have my Series X, so I'm happy. But again, if you want more storage and you haven't got an Xbox yet, by all means, this is your gateway into it. I think it was like £349, I think it said. I didn't manage to write the price down. I missed the price, but it's in the 300 range in terms of pounds. I don't know what that translates to euros and dollars. You'd have to do your own conversion. But yeah, it looks all right. But again, I'm all right. I've already got my console. Right, so that's the Xbox One, and the reason again why I was so sort of conflicted is the fact of, even though a lot of these games that we saw were day one Game Pass, there was nothing that really sort of was like, play it now, play it today. Or it was like the fact of, these are new games that were into Game Pass. Or it was the fact of, like, as we saw, a lot of these games are being shown, but not coming out until next year, 2024. The Star Wars game, 2024. Let's scroll down here. The Senua Hellblade, 2024. Yakuza Like a Dragon, 2024. Where else are we? We've got Still Wakes the Deep, 2024. Dungeons of Hindenburg coming 2024. Potentially City Skylines 2, 2024, potentially, if I'm reading that right. Metaphor Free Forenzio, 2024. Towerborn, 2024. There's a lot of games that are like, you like it, you're interested, 2024. Fable, most likely, 2024. This new Compulsion game, potentially 2024, because they didn't give us a date for them. That's a lot of days where it's like, yeah, we got a few that are coming out this year and coming out later this year, but I was expecting loads. I was expecting like, this is coming next year, this is coming next year, that's coming, this is coming this year, this year, this year, it's coming next month, this is coming tomorrow, this comes today, this comes 2 months from now. I was expecting loads of 2023 stuff. Don't get me wrong, I want to look towards the future and see what's coming next in the future, but I wanted stuff that I can have now or have very soon. And we did get some of it, but not a lot, and that's kind of what let me down, as well as not seeing nothing from Indiana Jones, no Wolfenstein 3, no, what's it? I had it then, I had it in my head. Indiana Jones, I think I mentioned that one. No Gears of War 6, no sort of Gears of War the collection. There was nothing in here where I was like, or like nothing from Double Fine, no sort of more explanation of what Double Fine's working on, because Double Fine's hinted at like there's 2 more games to add to Game Pass. Are they 2 new games that they're working on, or are they 2 games that from their back catalogue they want to bring into Game Pass? I was hoping we're going to see more from Double Fine, and we didn't. And it was just, the Xbox fan of me is happy because I'm getting a lot of games that I want in terms of like Avowed and Fable and so on. But the reviewer side of me, the gamer side of me, is a bit disappointed because I was hoping for more stuff from Xbox of showing, play this now, or play this very soon, or play this year. And there wasn't enough of that. And I feel like because you had the Starfield Direct as well, it felt like the Xbox Showcase kind of had to be shrunk a bit so that they had enough time to talk about Starfield. And that's how it felt. And that's how I feel. I feel kind of sort of teased, but not like teased and given a little bit of a taste. But overall, I'm going to have to wait for my pudding till next year to really get the full beans. And thank God Starfield's coming out this year, and thank God we potentially might get where was it now? Oh God, I've lost it. Where was it? There's so much to announce. We get the new Cyberpunk as well. Thank God for that. But yeah, like, it's just, I don't know. I hope for more. Hype is a big killer. Hype kills a lot of things, and I don't want to. Again, I don't want to dog on it. I don't hate this showcase. It's actually pretty good, and I think it was better and more interesting than the game fest. Like if anything, it's they're somewhat even, maybe a little bit better, but somewhat even to the Summer Games Fest. Um, I'm just hoping for what we had previous years coming day one, or and a lot of these games are coming day one on Game Pass. But like I was just hoping for something to play now or to play very soon, and that's kind of where I'm at. Is the fact I'm just a bit disappointed. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, there is going to be stuff at Gamescom that Xbox might do another sort of Xbox Direct like they did at the beginning of the year and show more games there. So there is hope, and I've got my fingers crossed, but we'll see. We will see. So that is my sort of thoughts and feelings on the Xbox showcase. I'm going to take a quick break now, and then when we come back, I'm going to give you my thoughts and feelings on the things that were shown at the Starfield Direct. So quick break, and then I'll be back with you. Now onto the Starfield Direct. Now, I'll be honest with you, this is not going to be like a huge sort of breakdown episode. I'm not going to break down every little bit of detail. I'm not going to sit here and talk for an hour, about everything that was shown. This is just like a first impressions, my thoughts and my feelings. And maybe I'll do a breakdown one later on, maybe not. I always have ideas and plans, and sometimes I fall through them, sometimes I don't. But this is just going to be my thoughts and feelings on what I saw at the Starfield Direct. Overall, I loved it. Overall, I like I said, I am more hyped now than I was before, but I was already hyped and excited anyway. We got to see in-depth looks at everything. To me, it felt like what Starfield, No Man's Sky wanted to be. If you remember when No Man's Sky was coming out and being advertised, I can't remember his name now. I forgot his name. That bloke who came out all the time, and he was like, "Oh, No Man's Sky. I mean, it's going to have this and it's going to have that, and you're going to have to do this, and you're going to do that." And the game came out, and you couldn't do this and you couldn't do that. Like, granted, now they've stuck with it, and they've had tons of updates, and the game is up to par of what they said it was going to be originally at a launch, and they're still doing updates. So I'm not dogging on it. It's just the fact of, I use it as an example because this is what they had made it sound like. This looks like a Bethesda game, true and true, with an updated engine using the Creative 2 engine. So they've updated their engine, so it still feels like a Bethesda game. It still looks like a Bethesda game, just looks a bit more prettier and more detailed. You play as a explorer, and your job is to basically find this. From finding this mystery, you are then sent to work out what's going on, what this technology is, and what it all means. But again, the game gives you the options to basically do what you want. As any of Bethesda game, you can do the main quest, you can go save the child, or you can go sort of find a Gek for your vault, but you don't have to. You know what I mean? You can do whatever you want, which you've left sort of the training wheels, the safety area. If you want to go off and there's a town over there, I want to go look at that town, you can. And that's the kind of, again, same vein here with this game, but the only difference is more sort of galactic. Whereas the fact of I would imagine you'd have your starter planet, you'd have your introduction to who you are, what you're doing, and all that jazz. And then it'd be like, we want you to go here in terms of story, but you can go wherever you want. And from looks of it, you can do that. You can customize your ship, so you can have a lot more people in it. You can customize it so it looks the way you want it to look, and also you can upgrade your slipstream engine, so you can jump faster and you can jump longer distances. So the better that engine, the further you can go in this sort of universe they've created. There's going to be hundreds of thousands of worlds. I think it's like 11,000 worlds. Some are inhabited, some are not, as it would be in the universe anyway. You couldn't imagine every planet you go to is going to have a little alien going, "Hello, I'm Steve." Or like, "Hi, I'm Paul." Oh God, that's a reference there. For anybody who gets it, well, you got yourself some extra points there. God, I've got that monkey's head in my brain now. I can't get it out. Where was I? Oh yeah. And you would imagine in the universe, there's gonna be a lot of planets that are not so I'm still making myself chuckle, that are not going to be inhabited. So you're going to have rocky planets, but you can go to those planets, you can survey them, you can mine them. If you wanted to, you could set your own mining sort of like compound up and become a courier, or you become a pirate, or you can be an explorer, or you can just basically be a scientist. So you could drop down on a planet that's got a big, luscious jungle, and you could go to that planet and you could survey every single plant and all the animals. And they even said in sort of this in-depth direct that you can do that, and that you will get sort of money, and you'd get reputation, and you'll get perks and stuff for doing that. For you'll get rewarded for sitting on a planet, staying there, and doing everything, and not just doing the planet, but doing every planet in that little system as well. So you can generally just not do anything to do with the main game, and you could just be a resource person. You could build bases, or you can be a pirate. You could do whatever you want, and it's that freedom that is very, very exciting. Which again is very much a Bethesda game. You get traits as well, so they can sort of change how your character is and how people interact with you. You can do backgrounds, and again, each background you choose, you never know when it'll come. It might be useful, but you might meet somebody on some random planet who'll be like, you were once a chef, or you was a beast hunter, or you were a scientist, or whatever background you choose. So again, it adds that next level of role play and creativity, and that again, that's fun, as well as again you can do so much. Like I feel like I'm missing things. I'm just doing the footnotes in the things that I wrote down, but there is so much in this, and I would like I say I was already hyped, but now I'm more hyped because I know that I'm going to be losing tons of hours in this game. I'm going to lose tons. I lost tons of hours in Oblivion, Fallout, and Skyrim. Okay, I'm going to be losing half my life to this game by the looks of it. Um, Now, I will say this: Todd Howard is a wonderful man. He's a visionary, and he's really good at making games. Well, some people might disagree with that one, especially Fallout 76, but I enjoy 76, so I don't think so. But take everything that Todd Howard says with a grain of salt, because everybody remembers Fallout 76, 16 times the detail. It just works. Everybody laughed at him, and he goes, I'm not kidding. And then we played 76, and it didn't work. It works now, but it didn't then. And obviously, yeah, that's 16 times the detail. Now, granted, I have played Fallout 4 and I played Fallout 76, and I can say there is extra detail in 76 next to uh, Fallout 4, but even so, not as much as you'd notice unless you're looking for it. The point is I'm trying to make is the fact of Todd Howard, very much in the fact of he is very open with what he says, and in terms of how he expresses himself and expresses the games he's working on. Um, and I'm not saying he's really bad at it, but there are times where he might over exaggerate. So I would just say take what he says with a grain of salt, and obviously expect the Bethesda jank. But overall, when you take all that in consideration, it still looks very fascinating. The team looks like they've worked really hard on it. And this will be sort of the next big game. This will be the next big game we'll see. I think they said after they finished Starfield and expansions and all that, I think they said that they were going to be working on Fallout 5, or no, Elder Scrolls, and then Fallout 5. So, yeah, I won't see a Fallout game until I'm in my late 30s, I'm sure. Probably 40s. And I probably won't see Elder Scrolls until I'm in my late 20s. So, we will. I'm 25 now, so let's make a bet. See, by the time I'm 28, maybe I'll see it, let alone play it. Maybe 29, 30 when I'll actually play it. We'll see, because they take a long time to make these games. They really, really do. Which is understandable because how much work goes into them, how much detail. They've been working on and off this game for years, and they've been planning it for 25 years in total. So it's been sort of the space game. It's been the game they've wanted to do for a long time. So these games take a long time to make, and it shows whenever you play a Bethesda games game. You can tell there's a lot of detail in love. There's a reason why people still play Oblivion and Skyrim and Fallout. It's because there's so much detail in there that even if you've done everything, you still get lost in these worlds and you still find things to do. And obviously, with mods and longevity, it really has made those games last forever. You know, so I have a lot of faith. I've got a lot of sort of yeah, faith. I've got a lot of faith in this game. I've got a lot of hope that this game will be as good as what it looks. Again, we're going to be seeing it in September this year, so not long far away, and it'll be out on Game Pass. So that's again, if it doesn't work, if it's not great, it doesn't matter. You didn't pay for it. But they did show that they are doing special editions. There was a special edition where you could get one with a watch. The watch was leaked a long time ago. We all knew about the watch a long time ago, but they finally showed it off, as well as the controller and the new headset, all styled in the style of Constellation. Again, those were leaked. They were already in shops a couple of days ago. There were people like in France and Brazil and that sort of place who had the hands on the controller and bought it and the headset way before obviously it was announced. Um, there was also they were talking about like different sort of editions, expansion packs, and it even sort of announced it's already going to. Well, they didn't announce it, but they showed in one of the editions you could buy was the season pass and get access to the story expansion first before anyone else. So yeah, they're doing their Bethesda thing. You know, they're doing their different editions and all the extra stuff you got to buy. Me personally, I'm not going to buy it because it's coming out on Game Pass, and I already have Game Pass. So yeah, I don't. It doesn't interest me the special edition. Special editions don't really interest me as much as they used to. You know, a nice fancy watch that's cool, but I have a Fitbit. You know, I'm all right with the Fitbit. um, but you know, there'll be some collectors out there who might be interested. But the controller looks beautiful. I've never been one into collecting controllers, but the controller looks gorgeous. The headset looks gorgeous. I'm happy with my old reliable that I've got on that right now that I'm using my Logitech. Um, but you know, I'm just excited to finally see this game and to see what it will be closer to that. I'm sure there'll be more to see, and they'll show us more, and there'll be more hands-on with YouTubers and sort of IGN and GameSpot and all that. So I'm sure we'll see a lot more hands-on stuff to come. And again, Gamescom's only around the corner. That's in August, so it's not that far away. So there's a lot to look forward to. Um, so in terms of the Starfield thing, if I had to give my overall rating, I loved it. I'll be honest with you, I feel like this could have been its own separate thing. They didn't need to add this on with the Xbox thing. They could have generally be like, they could either done it. Starfield was in the morning, was earlier on, and then the Xbox was later on in the day, or it could have been the fact of Xbox is on Saturday, Starfield Sunday, or Xbox Sunday, Starfield Monday, with before or after the Ubisoft event. Because let's be honest, whatever Ubisoft has to show, I'm sure Starfield would probably blow it out the water anyway. Because as I said, there's a lot that they've already shown. So unless they're going to talk for an hour about Assassin's Creed, and then maybe they'll talk about their Avatar game. Apart from that, Skull and Bones maybe, or Beyond Good and Evil 2. Again, I love Ubisoft. I do. I know I make fun of them, but they just need a win. They really need a win. So we'll see what they've got to do. But coming back to Starfield, overall, it was a fantastic direct. Again, it could have been its own little thing, but they decided to package it on here with the Xbox Showcase, and that's fine. It just feels like for me, like it took away from potentially seeing other games, even if it wasn't gameplay, just to see sort of announcement trailers or cinematic trailers of just be like, it's coming, maybe a year or two down the line, but it's coming. You know, I mean, that would have got me a bit hyped because I do miss it. I'm glad we get gameplay footage nowadays because back when I was younger, E3 and all that, you didn't always get gameplay. Majority of the time, if not all the time, it was cinematic. And cinematic trailers, yes, you didn't always get a full picture or idea of what the game's going to be, but they were awesome. They were really awesome, you know. So I miss those days, and a few of those added in here and there would have been fine. But they did say, Xbox said a couple of days ago, I think it was a week or two ago actually, they basically said, you know, all the games that are going to be shown at the Game Fest were going to be in-game footage and no sort of cinematic sort of trailers. So that's fair enough. They stuck to their word. But overall, Starfield and Xbox added in, not bad. You know, I'm a bit conflicted. It's a little bit better than the Summer Games Fest. The Xbox fan of me is happy and enough where I know I'm getting the things that I want to get soon, and I've got stuff to look forward to in the future. But I do wish that there was more. But again, for what it was and what they did, it was all right. So yeah, that's my thoughts and feelings on the Xbox showcase and Starfield Direct. If you'd like to hear more things from me, you can follow me on Twitter at nerdstalgic_pod for updates on everything and anything that I'm doing. Also, you can find me on YouTube at the Nerdstalgic Podcast. Find me in there. You can find the Nerdstalgic Podcasts on anywhere and everywhere that you can find podcasts. The only place you won't find me is Apple, but everywhere else you can find me. You can even find me on Audible. So if you're on Audible and you listen to an audiobook and looking for something new to listen to, you can check me out there. But yeah, I have been your host, Luke the Human. Thank you very, very much for listening. You've been listening to the Nerdstalgic Podcast, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye bye.